Welcome to the Caregivers Collective, a podcast dedicated to supporting, uplifting, and connecting caregivers like you. I'm Tangela, and I'm glad that you're here. If you're listening, chances are you're on a caregiving journey of your own. Maybe you've been in the role for years, or maybe you just stepped into it. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what comes next. Wherever you are, know this: you are not alone. This is a space where we can share our stories, our struggles, and our victories, and remind each other that what we do truly matters. So I wanted to start this podcast by sharing my own story, how I became a caregiver, what I've learned along the way, and why I believe so deeply in creating a community for caregivers like us. For me, caregiving wasn't something I planned for. It wasn't a job I applied for or a path I mapped out. It was something that life handed me. And like so many of you, I stepped up because I had to. You see, it started with small things like helping Dad out and here and there making sure Mom had what she needed. But slowly the responsibilities grew. I started going to doctor's appointments with Dad, cooking dinner, doing some light house cleaning, and then the emotional and physical toll. It all became part of my daily life. And one day I realized that caregiving wasn't just something I was doing. It had become a part of who I was. Maybe you have experienced moments of love and laughter, but also days filled with exhaustion, frustration, and questions you don't have the answers to. Maybe you struggle with guilt, wondering if you're doing enough, and loneliness, feeling like no one truly understands what you're going through. But along the way, I also found strength. I found the strength that I didn't know that I had. I learned the power of small moments, the importance of self-care, and the incredible resilience that comes with loving and caring for someone deeply. And that's why I created the Caregivers Collective. Because I know that every caregiver has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. So here we'll talk about the realities of caregiving, the good, the hard, and everything in between. We'll share insights and resources and encouragement to help each other navigate this journey. So whether you're listening in your car, you're on a short break, or in those rare quiet moments at home, welcome. You are seen, you are valued, and you are part of this collective. Let's take this journey together. I never could have imagined that the woman who was once so vibrant, active, and hardworking would one day become a victim of Alzheimer's. My mother, she was strong, she was determined, always on the go. And now she was facing a disease that would slowly take away pieces of her from us. I grew up in a strict but loving household. Mom worked a full-time job. She took care of the home and she balanced her roles as a wife and a mother. And she did this seemingly effortlessly. She bought some of our clothes, but she also sewed many of our outfits herself. She was active in the church, respected in the community, and she truly embodied the spirit of a Proverbs 31 woman. She was exceptional at everything she did. Maybe a little bit too exceptional, because I never even realized how much we didn't have until I grew up and had to get it for myself. And didn't I mention that she was an amazing cook? Yeah, Mom was the disciplinarian of our home, and she was clear about what she wanted done, when, and how. This every morning before everyone else got up, she was already in the kitchen cooking breakfast. And she had rules even then. And we knew them well. Get up, make your bed, eat breakfast, wash the dishes before school, and for goodness sake, do not miss the bus. Why was that important? Well, living deep in the country with dirt roads and no easy transportation, missing the school bus was not an option. Most of the time we did what we were supposed to do, but with 5 kids in the house, you can imagine there were days when things didn't go like they were supposed to go. You see, sometimes we didn't wash the dishes before school, thinking we'd get home before Mom and would wash the dishes before Mom got home. Well, wouldn't you know it, those would be the days when Mom got off work early, and our hearts would sink the moment we saw the car parked in the carport. It was never a pretty sight. Did I mention that Mom was the disciplinarian? Yeah, she was the kind of mother who, when she said, "I am going to get you when we get home," she meant every word of it. And it wasn't empty promises or threats. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. And trust me, she didn't miss a beat. Or should I say a beating? Now, I'd love to say that the whoopings we got were unfair. But the truth of the matter is 95% of them were warranted. We knew exactly why we were being disciplined. Because either we didn't do something that we were told to do, or we did something that we were told not to do. Oh, and she made sure that we understood the lesson too. Didn't I tell you? Yeah, every word punctuated by a switch or a belt. We never grew up mad at Mom, though, for disciplining us. If anything, as we grew older, we were happy that she did. But we also secretly hoped that one day she might forget about the promise of getting a whooping every now and then. But wouldn't you believe it, one day that time finally came. But I think it was worse because we spent the whole day on edge waiting. When is it coming? When is it coming? But it never came. Maybe Mom was just tired. After all, there were 5 of us. And looking back, I truly appreciate the way Mom raised us and disciplined us. You see, Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it." And I haven't departed. And I'm grateful for her guidance because in many ways it has prepared me for the responsibility that I now carry, being her caregiver. About 10 years ago, we started noticing the change. I started noticing small changes in Mom. She would repeat herself, asking the same question over and over, making the same statements again and again as if we hadn't already had the conversation. At first, I brushed it off as Mom just getting older, but my sister also noticed it too. But what we didn't know was that Dad had seen the changes long before we did, and he carried a secret with him, that Mom was in the early stages of Alzheimer's. He never told us. Instead, he chose to deal with it alone. Maybe he was trying to protect Mom. Maybe he was trying to protect himself. Maybe he was trying to protect us. But over time, the signs became too obvious to ignore. So in 2019, I made a life-changing decision. I quit my job and I relocated to be closer to my parents. I had no idea what I was signing up for, but it didn't take long to find out. If I'm being honest, I initially fought against the inevitable, but the reality was clear. Alongside my father, I was stepping into the role of my mother's caregiver. Dad has been as strong as he could be, carrying the weight of this journey on his shoulders for so long. Now at least he doesn't have to carry it alone. And though this road is filled with challenges, I know that being here, being present, is the greatest act of love I can give to both my parents. This is my story, and this is my heart of a caregiver. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode of the Caregivers Collective. Hope that it resonates with you and reminds you that you are not alone on this path. Caregiving is a journey filled with love, challenges, and lessons we never expected to learn. If you're in the middle of it, just starting out, or even preparing for the road ahead, know this: your role is important, and what you do matters. And no matter how hard some days feel, you are making a difference. If today's episode spoke to you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other caregivers who might need encouragement.